Our next speaker, again, a good friend of ours, Hugh. Thanks for coming. Hugh from Nexus Mutual. And I need to point out here, Nexus Mutual was so friendly to sponsor this conference, so the fact that we can pay the rent here and that we can pay for your breakfast and for your lunch, that's all. I mean, we're not paying it all, but thanks for helping us, thanks for our sponsors. Without you, this would not be possible, and I leave the stage to you, and you present what you are doing with Nexus Mutual.
Cool, thanks Stefan. It's really exciting to be back again. I first presented Nexus Mutual at D1Conf in Cancun, and so it's been basically a year since that, and I'm looking forward to showing you our progress and where we've got to. But first, some of you may have heard of these guys. Equitable Life Insurance Company, one of the biggest mutual life insurance companies probably in the world, definitely in the UK, very old. They basically used to sell what's called whole of life insurance policies mainly, which is kind of like a combined savings and life insurance company. So it's very traditional old life insurance company. But something happened around 1990, 2000, and they ended up being closed down, sold off, and the subject of a pretty detailed government inquiry. So what happened? Well, at the start, they essentially guaranteed returns to members that they couldn't meet. Now, but you could say that was innocent and all the rest of it, but that was the start. Then, they employed dubious accounting methodology to hide the issue and hope they could trade out of it. Not the best. A small group of management decided that was a good idea. And what the astounding thing is they probably traded on an insolvent basis for 10 years, building up bigger and bigger losses. And then it all came down in around 2000. And the end result, members of the mutual lost money. That's kind of what happens. The government stepped in for a bit, but in the end, the members lost money. So, when it comes down to it, basically, customers trusted the company with their money and it was mismanaged. That's kind of what it really comes down to. And we've got two core issues here. The primary one is agency, so that's basically having to trust someone else with your money. And the second one is transparency. If we had transparency there, then the problem would still exist, but it wouldn't have grown so far out of hand. And so how do we deal with those? That's regulation. That's why we have laws, that's why we have rules, that's why we have all these requirements for making sure we get the right people in the right roles, approved persons, compliance, capital methodology, Solvency II, all these really heavy calculations about trying to make sure you understand exactly what the financial position of the insurance company is, and reporting standards and all the rest of it. So it makes complete sense and it works nearly all the time. But what if we could do it in a different way? What if we could trust the code instead, have smart contracts determine the rules about what can be used, what the money could be used for and how it could be used, limit the usage. And if we're running on a permissionless blockchain system, we can effectively have a real-time financial reporting position open to everyone. You don't have to wait 3 months after a year end to get an actual result. That's essentially what we're trying to do at Nexus Mutual. We are trying to build a decentralized risk carrier. Insurance companies basically have the company in the middle that manages the money, it makes all the decisions about what happens where, and it has customers and shareholders backing it up. Mutuals don't have shareholders, they just have members, and they collectively pool their money, but they also have a board or a company in the middle that decides on what to do, and essentially the members delegate their responsibility to the company to make the decisions on their behalf, usually including claims, investment management, and a whole bunch of other things, underwriting as well. Nexus Mutual basically is trying to take out that company. We're trying to hand the benefits and the control and everything back to the membership base. Everything, all the decisions get made by the members, all the profits get returned to the members. That's what we're trying to do. So I'm just going to quickly go through a couple of the interesting points about our model. And this is basically because different people have said, oh, that's pretty cool, I like what you're doing there, so I'll kind of go through a few things. So the first one is what product are we selling? Smart contract cover. So we are selling a product for the Ethereum community. That's where we're starting. We'll be crypto only to start with. So you can only interact with the platform with either Ether or DAI. But we're designing a product that will pay out when there's unintended code usage that leads to a material financial loss. So think about the parity multi-sig wallet issues, or the DAO hack, or Spank Chain's one, a recent one, which is kind of amusing. What we're doing here is we're putting in a voting or a human layer in which votes on the validity of claims. So how do you price that thing? Well, every insurance person I speak to, especially the consultants, love this aspect because it's new and it helps solve pricing when you don't have a lot of historic data. So essentially we have a two-tier pricing approach. You have a base algorithm which basically says how battle-tested is that smart contract code, how complex is it, how much funds does it hold, how long it's been on mainnet, and then the price will come down after how battle-tested it is. So that works, that's kind of provided for all contracts, but it's not going to work for newly deployed ones. And that's where the second tier comes in. So we allow any members of the mutual to stake value in the form of tokens against specific smart contracts that they think are good. And if they do, the price comes down and it's cheaper for others to buy. And the way that works is they can earn rewards when another member purchases cover on that particular contract that they staked against. If there's an early claim, they can lose some of their stake. So we have an incentive mechanism for people to provide external work to the system. Another interesting aspect of what we're doing is we have a bonding curve or a continuous token model. So, and the primary reason we're doing this is for capital efficiency. Insurance companies live or die based on how capital efficient they are. And if you consider it like an ICO approach, where you tend to raise a lot of money to start with, and then you may not be able to raise more in the future, you've kind of got too much capital to start and not enough in the future potentially. So that's the problem that our token model is trying to solve. It's basically open all the time, and the main determinant on the price is the funds that the mutual actually holds versus the funds it's required to hold to back the policies. And so when we're overfunded, the price goes up, kind of encouraging redemptions. When we're underfunded, the price goes down, encouraging capital to come in. So it's dynamic. It's kind of like this thing is raising risk capital as it needs the risk capital from the market. Another pretty cool thing we're doing is we are legally linking a DAO to a UK company. So for the insurance people in the room, we are taking a discretionary mutual in the UK, a legal company, and we're automating it with smart contracts. For the decentralized people in the room, we're taking a DAO and wrapping it with a legal wrapper. So it depends what your viewpoint is. So now the decentralized purists will go, yeah, you're introducing centralized components, and that would be fair. We're trying to minimize that as much as possible, but we get two massive benefits here. The first one is the fact that we can interact with the non-blockchain world. We can send an invoice. It's pretty basic, but DAO kind of needs to interact. Not everything's running fully on chain yet. We kind of need to do some basic stuff. The second, and potentially more importantly, is that we actually access limited liability on a per member basis. If you interact with a DAO that doesn't have a legal wrapper and the DAO does something wrong, you are potentially personally liable on an unlimited basis for anything that DAO does. Now, limited liability was introduced in the 1800s or something, and it's one of the key reasons we have massive economic growth. We don't want to give that up. It's pretty important. There we go. All right, cool. So this is running on Kovan. Just very quickly, the idea is that you want to cover a smart contract. So you can put the smart contract address, this chosen one here, pick the cover amount, so we're operating on fixed cover amounts, and you can either denominate the cover in either Ether or DAI. Just choose Ether for now, and then you pick your cover period in days, get a quote. Takes a little while, it's doing a relatively complex calc behind the scenes. So the idea here is that you have a fixed cover amount, and if there's a hack, then you can submit a claim request, and it goes to the pool to be voted on. So that's the main idea, and you can, as I mentioned, you can denominate your cover in DAI in US dollars, because we think some people would obviously want to do that. So there you go. We've got the quote back. We can pay with Ether, or you can pay with tokens, but we'll just pay with Ether. Oops. And essentially, I'm already a member of the mutual, so this should just go straight to the MetaMask transaction. And we're on tokens, so hopefully it'll be quick. So yeah, there we go. We've purchased some cover, and that's as quick as it is. One of the interesting things there that you may not have picked up on is that you actually didn't need our token to buy cover. You just needed Ether or DAI, and that's one of the benefits of the continuous token model. Essentially, what's happening in the background is it's purchasing tokens and then destroying them to purchase cover. So that's a quick demo. We've got many more aspects to it here, and you can come to a stand and we can show you a bit more. So, very quickly, one more slide to summarize. Not sure what this is doing. Okay. That was my backup plan in case it didn't work. Cool. All right. So, in summary, we've got a decentralized risk carrier. We have a market-based pricing mechanism. We're legally linking a DAO, and we have a bonding curve for capital efficient token model. But we also have a completely new product that no insurance company is offering right now. So, one takeaway is decentralization is real. All of this stuff is not just theory anymore, and our plan is to launch D1 next year. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Hugh. I think that's an impressive list in your summary. Do we have any questions from the audience? Just time for one or two questions. Please go ahead. I try to bring the microphone. Why are the people with questions over there?
Thank you so much.
If I understand the model right, you think that everything should be taken by
The mutual members. So, is there a minimum threshold of their understanding of the industry? Because there is a lot of decisions that need to be made on the product or the claims or even regulatory. You've got the money in, how do you invest that?
It's not absolutely everything. It's the very vast majority. But there are incentive mechanisms to pay, and if you don't do the job right, then you essentially don't earn the rewards, or you can get punished. So it's a self-selecting market-based mechanism for
So there needs to
participation.
be an active involvement of the members. Because at the moment, an average insurer buyer knows that there is someone who has the knowledge, and you won't expect an average, myself, if I'm buying home insurance, I won't know a lot about home insurance.
Yeah, that's right. So essentially we have members as a whole, and then there are subgroups. And so you can choose to participate in any of the functions, you don't have to participate. So people are going to self-select into what their specialisation is. Thank you.
More question?
Expanding on that, if you choose not to participate, does it delegate your stake, or can you do that to somebody you can perform that function?
Yeah, you'll be able to delegate your vote on the governance to someone that you, so you can delegate to an expert if you want to.
One quick last question.
Are you essentially combining the process of underwriting with the investor? Like you said, you can stake the token or ETH, and so that you underwrite, so that you combine those two functions into one entity almost. Like as an individual, I can stake. Is that correct in that?
So you can put money into the DAO and you can not participate, or you can additionally also stake value if you want to. So as an investor and an expert, you could stake as well to enhance your returns if you wish.
That's how you can scale.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Hugh. Please, another round of applause for Hugh.